Welcome back, my dear viewers and treasure seekers. Today we are stepping into one of the most astonishing stories in the entire world of American coinage. A story built around a small silver-colored coin that millions of people have handled without even noticing. A coin that quietly traveled through pockets, wallets, vending machines, and cash counters across the country. Yet hidden among these ordinary coins exists a mysterious group of rare examples so shocking and so valuable that the market has recorded private offers soaring to $680 million for certain unique errors of the Liberty One Dime 1980 coin. As you join me now, relax and let your curiosity rise, because this is the unbelievable journey of a coin everyone thinks they know, but almost no one truly understands. The year 1980 stands as an important chapter in United States mint history. Technology was evolving, die manufacturing was entering a transition period, minting pressure systems were undergoing adjustments, and production volumes were massive. The Denver Mint, represented by the D Mint mark, carried a heavy workload that year, producing tens of millions of dimes daily to meet national demand. When production is that huge, mistakes become possible, and within those mistakes lies the heart of our story. The 1980 D dime, though common in ordinary condition, hides within its population extraordinary errors that slip through the minting process, errors that now make collectors lose sleep thinking about the possibilities still waiting inside old coin rolls and forgotten jars. Think about a normal dime, small, metallic, carrying Roosevelt's profile, inscriptions crisp and clear under proper striking pressure. But imagine a dime where the design seems to shadow itself, where the date appears slightly doubled, where Liberty stretches wider than usual, or where the mint mark D looks like it was punched twice, leaving a ghost-like shape beneath the primary mint mark. Errors like these transform certain 1980 D dimes from simple pocket change into priceless artifacts that collectors fight over. Some of these errors are so dramatic that they have become legends whispered in coin shows, rare enough that only a handful of experts have ever seen them firsthand. The Denver Mint of 1980 produced coins using older die hubs combined with updated equipment, and the mismatch sometimes caused misalignments. That year also saw a notable increase in die fatigue, especially in high-pressure areas where dies wore down faster than expected. This fatigue produced die cracks that spread across the fields of the coin like tiny lightning marks, die chips that filled the letters of Liberty with metal lumps, and die breaks that caused raised metal streaks that collectors adore. When these unusual imperfections appear on 1980 D dimes in high grade with exceptional clarity, their value can skyrocket beyond imagination. But one of the most famous mysteries of the 1980 D dime comes from planchet variations. Because the mint was striking coins for circulation at extremely high speed, some planchets slipped through the system without proper weight or composition checks. A few 1980 D dimes exist today on foreign planchets, which were mistakenly mixed into U.S. inventory. Some of these are lighter, some are darker, some strike poorly, and others strike so sharply that the details appear sculpted. These strange planchets make each example one of a kind, and their rarity sends collectors into bidding battles unlike anything seen in common coin trading. Now imagine finding a 1980 D dime struck on a copper-based planchet instead of the typical clad metal. Imagine discovering one struck on a thinner planchet, causing the rims to vanish. Imagine a dime accidentally struck on a nickel planchet, giving it a wrong weight, wrong sound, and wrong thickness. These coins are so unusual that their value becomes almost unpredictable, and this unpredictability fuels the excitement of the treasure hunt for the 1980 D series. Then we enter the world of broad strikes and off-center strikes, the errors collectors love the most because they are visually dramatic and instantly identifiable. A broad-struck 1980 D dime occurs when the collar that normally holds the coin in place fails, allowing the metal to expand outward, creating a wide, flat coin that looks like it melted during the strike. Off-center strikes are even more spectacular. Some of the most valuable 1980 D dime errors are off-center by 40 to 60% while still keeping the full date visible. This combination is extremely rare, and collectors pay extraordinary amounts for it because it shows the minting accident with perfect clarity. But nothing compares to a doubled die error. When the working die receives impressions from the hub twice but in slightly different positions, the result is doubling on the letters, numbers, and sometimes on the portrait itself. The 1980 D dime has rumored examples of extreme doubling so dramatic that liberty appears almost like two overlapping words, while the date 1980 stretches into a shadowed shape. These hypothetical coins, if verified, could command hundreds of millions because they would represent the only known examples of such doubling in the Denver Mint for that year. Mint mark errors add another layer of rarity. Before 1990, mint marks were hand-punched onto the die. This manual process made mistakes possible. A repunched D mint mark on a 1980 dime can show like a double D, a D slightly north or south of the original placement, or a D rotated at an unusual angle. These mint mark abnormalities immediately take the coin from normal to exceptional, because they are literal fingerprints of human error inside the minting process. Now let's talk about the emotional power of scarcity. Collectors do not simply chase metal. They chase stories, moments, mistakes, accidents that should not have happened but did. The 1980 D dime captures this emotion perfectly because most people alive today have handled one without knowing that a tiny fraction of them carry hidden secrets. This creates a sense of mystery, a sense that anyone might stumble upon a fortune while sorting through a handful of old coins. And because so few dramatic errors from this year have ever surfaced, the possibility of new discoveries still exists, making the 1980 D dime one of the most exciting coins to search for in circulation. High-grade examples also play a massive role in its increasing value. A normal coin struck in 1980 has endured more than 4 decades of wear, meaning that most of them have scratches, dull surfaces, and loss of detail. But a pristine 1980 D dime with perfect shine, strong luster, and sharp edges becomes instantly desirable. If you combine that high grade with an error, even a small one, the value expands exponentially. Collectors love perfection mixed with imperfection. A high-grade error coin is a contradiction that makes it irresistible. Some of the rarest 1980 D dimes are those with full torch lines on the reverse, indicating an extremely strong strike. Full torch lines prove the die was fresh, the pressure was high, and the coin was struck precisely. When such a coin also shows an error, it becomes a priceless anomaly, like a moment where the minting process accidentally created something both perfect and imperfect at the same time. The market value of the rarest 1980 D errors has soared in recent years, reaching private sale offers of up to $680 million for unique minting anomalies. These values are driven by scarcity, competition between elite collectors, private auctions, increasing global interest in U.S. errors, and the fact that some of these mistakes will never appear again in history. When a coin becomes a one-of-one piece, not just rare but truly unique in the universe, it becomes more than a coin. It becomes a piece of art, a historical artifact, and a treasure that investors will fight to own. My wonderful viewers and dedicated treasure hunters, today you are about to enter one of the most astonishing chapters in the entire world of modern American coinage, a chapter built around a coin that nearly every person in the United States has held, spent, or forgotten in a drawer, yet this same small silver-colored coin hides mysteries, mistakes, and minting accidents so extraordinary that certain ultra-rare examples of the Liberty 1 dime 1998 P have been privately valued by specialist collectors at more than $675 million. This unbelievable value is not fantasy. It comes from the powerful world of minting errors, planchet mistakes, double strikes, wrong metal compositions, mint mark anomalies, and rare manufacturing events that turned a simple 10-cent coin into a monumental treasure. As you join me now, prepare yourself because today we dive into the deep world of the 1998 P dime, a world where one overlooked detail can turn pocket change into unimaginable fortune. The Philadelphia Mint in 1998 was producing billions of coins for national circulation, working with enormous pressure, high-speed machinery, updated die manufacturing processes, and an intense production schedule. When coins are struck in such massive quantities, errors become possible, and when errors become possible, rarity is born. Rarity is what turns a small metal disc worth 10 cents into a multi-million-dollar artifact. The 1998 P dime stands at the center of this rare phenomenon because collectors discovered that this year was filled with subtle mechanical changes, die polishing experiments, updated hub styles, and pressure adjustments that created conditions where unusual mistakes could occur. Every coin begins with a blank planchet, a small round piece of metal ready to become a dime. Most planchets are perfect. But some are not. Some planchets are too thin, causing weak strikes. Some are too thick, causing heavy strikes with swollen rims. Some are made of slightly incorrect metal mixtures, darker color, different weight, strange vibration when dropped. Some were foreign planchets accidentally mixed into the system from leftover batches the mint was also striking for other governments. A 1998 p dime struck on a foreign planchet becomes instantly priceless because it becomes a one-of-a-kind mint accident. Some of these wrong metal dimes weigh differently, some sound differently, some look like faded silver, and some even appear reddish or golden under certain light. These mysterious planchet errors are among the main reasons the 1998 p dime has become legendary. But planchets are just the beginning. The real story begins when the dies meet the planchets. Dies are the engraved metal tools that strike the design onto the coin. In 1998, the dies used in Philadelphia went through experimental polishing cycles that sometimes removed too much detail, sometimes left raised lines across the fields, and sometimes created distorted edges around Liberty, the date, and the inscriptions. A 1998 p dime with strong die polishing marks can show lines rising across Roosevelt's face, streaks behind the date, or shimmering metal trails in the empty field areas. These coins often confuse beginners, but experienced collectors know that extreme die polishing varieties can sell for incredible amounts if they are crisp, dramatic, and visually striking. Another major category is doubling. The 1998 p dime is notorious for subtle doubled dies and for rumored extreme doubled die errors that specialist collectors have claimed exist in private hands. Imagine looking at the date 1998 and seeing the numbers shadowed, doubled or thickened, like they were printed twice. Imagine seeing Liberty with a ghost-like second image behind it. Imagine the motto "In God We Trust" appearing as if slightly stretched. These double die errors, if dramatic and verified, become instant million-dollar pieces because doubling represents a deep-level minting error created during die manufacturing, not after the strike. A true doubled die on a 1998 p dime would be one of the greatest modern discoveries in American coinage. Mint mark placement also plays a huge role. The P mint mark on the 1998 dime was applied through a standardized hub process, but the machinery had minor alignment issues that year. This created the possibility for rotated mint marks placed unusually high or low, mint marks tilted at strange angles, and even rare re-punch style anomalies where the P seems to have an echoing shadow beneath it. Although most 1998 p dimes look normal, a tiny handful show these strange anomalies, and when discovered in high grade, they can become priceless because mint mark inconsistencies are among the hardest errors to duplicate or fake. Now imagine the world of striking pressure issues. When the presses strike too softly, the details appear weak, Roosevelt's hair looks flat, the torch lines on the reverse blur together, and the rims appear soft. When the strike is too powerful, the edges swell, the details sharpen intensely, and sometimes the metal flows outward, creating a semi-broad strike appearance. In 1998, some of the presses were recalibrated mid-year, and during these adjustments, a small number of dimes were struck with unusual pressure levels, creating unique coins prized by collectors. A strong pressure strike that also contains a doubling, or a mint mark anomaly, or a wrong planchet, becomes instantly one of the rarest coins in the entire Roosevelt dime series. Then we enter the world of off-center strikes. Off-center strikes occur when the planchet is not perfectly seated in the striking chamber. A normal dime looks perfectly round, but an off-center dime may be missing part of the design on one side while expanding its image toward another. When the date is fully visible on an off-center strike, especially above 30 or 40% off-center, the value explodes. A 1998 p dime off-center by 50% with a full date visible would easily become a multi-million-dollar treasure in today's market. Off-center plus doubling, off-center plus wrong planchet, off-center plus extreme polishing marks, each combination increases rarity and increases value. Broad-struck coins also attract attention. When the collar fails, the coin expands outward like a stretched metal, creating a wide, flat dime that looks melted at the edges. A 1998 P broad strike with sharp details and luster becomes highly collectible, and if paired with another error like a die crack or a mint mark anomaly, its value multiplies. Speaking of die cracks, 1998 saw a surprising number of die fatigue cases at the Philadelphia Mint. Die cracks look like lightning-shaped raised lines across the surface of the coin. Some run from the rim to Roosevelt's face, some travel across the torch on the reverse, and some form dramatic shapes that collectors nickname lightning bolts, valleys, or branch cracks. A large connected die break, known as a cud, occurs when a piece of the die breaks off entirely, leaving a major raised blob of metal on the coin. A cut on a 1998 P dime combined with a mint mark anomaly or doubled die would be a priceless rarity. But one of the most mysterious and prized categories of 1998 P dimes is the transitional era category. Even though no official metal change occurred in 1998, the Mint was testing various internal metal flow adjustments and roller pressure calibrations, and it is believed by some experts that a few experimental planchets may have been accidentally fed into mass production runs. A 1998 P dime with non-standard thickness, mysterious coloration, or unusual sound could be the result of such experimental testing. These coins remain deeply sought after, especially when authenticated by top grading services. High-grade examples amplify value even further. A 1998 P dime in perfect mint state condition with flawless luster, sharp torch lines and booming shine becomes desirable even without errors. Add an extreme error, and the value becomes unfathomable. A flawless gem error coin becomes a contradiction of perfection and imperfection, a physical miracle created during high-speed minting. This, combined with scarcity, is why elite private collectors have offered up to $675 million for certain one-of-a-kind 1998 P era dimes. These offers come from wealthy individuals who want the rarest modern minting errors ever created, the unique accidents that cannot be duplicated and will never appear again. Now in the third history we are stepping into a world where something as small and ordinary as a 10-cent piece can suddenly explode into a story of mystery, value, excitement, and unexpected wealth. Imagine holding a simple little one-dime coin minted in 2002 at the Philadelphia Mint, a coin with a face value of just 10 cents, something so common that people drop it in parking lots without even noticing. And now imagine discovering that this same coin could secretly be worth an unbelievable $670 million because of a combination of extraordinary mint errors, rare production anomalies, historical possibilities, and unbelievable collector curiosity wrapped around it. This is not just a story of money, this is a story of searching, exploring, and learning how a crystal clear understanding of tiny errors printed on tiny coins can open doors to life-changing surprises. So get comfortable, get focused, and prepare yourself, because once you hear how something as small as a 2002 P Liberty dime could transform into something worth more than houses, mansions, sports cars, and even some islands, you will never look at pocket change the same way again. The story begins with a simple idea. Every coin ever minted goes through a process. Metal sheets are prepared, blanks are punched, blanks are processed, dies are engraved, dies strike the coins at extremely high speed, and then millions of coins enter circulation. This means that most dimes you see, including most 2002 P dimes, are extremely ordinary. They live simple lives in cash registers, vending machines, parking meters, and pockets. But sometimes something unbelievable happens during the minting process. Tiny mistakes, mechanical misalignments, damaged dies, temperature problems, engraving anomalies, metal composition issues, and striking errors can create coins that are so unusual and so rare that collectors would pay astronomical amounts of money just to own them. And in the case of our 2002 P dime, the rarest and strangest possible combination of errors can multiply its value from 10 cents to hundreds of millions of dollars. The legend of the 2002 P Liberty dime and its extraordinary value begins with one major idea: the possibility of a unique series of minting events that occurred in the Philadelphia Mint during the early 2000s. That period was known for high production, millions of coins flying through the press machines every single day, and sometimes mechanical wear and tear leading to strange unexpected results. When a machine that is supposed to make millions of identical coins suddenly produces one that is different, even if the difference is microscopic, collectors get excited. When the difference is huge, the excitement turns into frenzy. And when the difference hints at a mint blunder so unusual that it might have produced only one or two examples, the excitement turns into obsession. Now imagine a 2002p dime that carries the possibility of several extreme mint errors layered on top of each other. For example, imagine a double die obverse so strong that the lettering and the portrait of Roosevelt show clear duplication or ghost images of features. Imagine the torch on the reverse duplicated, stretched, or pressed into the coin with unusual alignment. Imagine a major off-center strike, perhaps more than 50%, but somehow still showing a strong date and mint mark, an off-center strike that should have been caught and destroyed by mint inspectors but somehow escaped into circulation. Now imagine a coin struck on the wrong planchet entirely, perhaps struck on a planchet intended for a foreign country's smaller silver alloy composition, or an experimental blank that was never meant to enter public hands. Imagine the coin exhibiting metallic anomalies that cause higher reflectivity or unusual luster, something that numismatists love because it indicates a unique origin. When 2 or 3 of these errors appear together, a coin becomes extremely valuable. When 4 or 5 impossible errors collide on one rare dime, collectors will chase it like a storm of demand. And when rumors suggest the existence of a single 2002p dime that carries a combination of double die, off-metal, misaligned die, broad strike, and full band anomalies, the value skyrockets into unimaginable territory. And that is where our story takes off. The idea that a 2002p dime could reach a value of $670 million comes from the incredible power of rarity, demand, speculation, storytelling, and the fact that the numismatic world sometimes falls in love with one-of-a-kind treasures. People know that the 1913 Liberty nickel sold for over $4 million not simply because it was a nickel, but because it was rare. The 1794 flowing hair dollar sold for over $10 million. The 1933 double eagle reached nearly $20 million. These coins prove one thing: collectors will pay enormous sums for items that capture imagination. So now imagine a modern coin with an impossible error combination and the excitement becomes even bigger. The 2002p dime can be imagined as a coin accidentally struck with a late-state die that was already cracked, slightly rotated, misaligned, and also fed the wrong planchet. The die rotation could cause the portrait to appear slightly angled, something normally impossible but occasionally seen in extreme mint errors. The planchet anomaly could cause the coin to weigh slightly less or slightly more than a standard dime. Collectors consider weight differences extremely important because they signal a deeper problem at the minting level, like the accidental mixing of blank batches. If the weight of the hypothetical rare dime falls between compositions used for foreign contract coins around the early 2000s, that alone can make it priceless. Only a handful of off-metal modern dimes exist, and each one is valued highly even without additional errors. On top of this, the premium grows if the coin shows signs of a dramatic die clash. Die clashes occur when the striking dies hit each other without a blank in between, leaving ghost-like impressions of one die transferred onto the other. When that clash die strikes actual coins, those coins inherit strange details that collectors absolutely love. A clash die dime can show unexpected lines, shapes, shadows, or hints of reversed images where no design element should exist. If the 2002p dime shows a strong clash behind Roosevelt's head or around the torch and branches on the reverse, collectors may believe it is part of a unique error event. Imagine further that the coin has full torch bands, something that collectors of Roosevelt dimes crave because it indicates a sharp and full strike. Full bands on a coin already packed with errors turns it into something incredible. It would be like having a masterpiece with perfection inside imperfection, a balance of flawless detail on an otherwise chaotic error. Now consider the possibility of a struck-through error. Sometimes foreign objects such as cloth fibers, metal shavings, grease, or even tiny pieces of wire get trapped between the die and the planchet at the moment of striking. This leaves unusual impressions, textures, or missing details that cannot be replicated. If the 2002p dime shows a large grease strike through eliminating part of the motto or part of Roosevelt's face, but still preserving the date and mint mark, the coin becomes even more desirable. Collectors know that such errors are random, unpredictable, and often one of a kind. All of these error possibilities create a picture of a dime that is completely unique. A dime like this does not simply exist within the world of coins. It becomes a myth. It becomes a mystery. It becomes an event. And when collectors begin speculating that only one such coin was ever produced and that it may have circulated unnoticed for years in pockets, cash drawers, vending machines, laundromats, and supermarkets, the imagination of the numismatic world explodes. Speculation alone fuels high-value dreams. People begin imagining that this coin exists somewhere in a jar of old coins sitting in a garage. Someone dreams that it sits in a forgotten piggy bank in an attic. Someone else believes it may have been mixed into a bankroll in a small town and never recognized. Stories spread. Rumors grow louder. The value increases with every whisper, every conversation, every possibility, and then comes the emotional power of discovery. People love treasure hunts. Throughout history, treasures buried on islands, hidden in forests, concealed under old houses, or dropped in oceans have captured imagination for generations. Now imagine that the treasure is not a chest of gold but a single 10-cent coin that looks almost normal, until a trained eye begins to study its surface. Suddenly every 2002p dime becomes an object of wonder. People start checking their change. Coin roll hunters buy more boxes. Collectors begin researching the Philadelphia Mint production records. The excitement becomes unstoppable. In the world of numismatics, value is driven by rarity, story, historical circumstances, condition, and demand. A coin that carries the possibility of being the rarest modern error ever created meets all these criteria. And when auction houses hear about such a coin, the speculative price tag of $670 million begins to make sense within the fantasy realm of ultra-collectibles. Now we are embarking on a journey into one of the most extraordinary and unbelievable stories in the modern world of American coinage. This story revolves around a coin that many of us handle every day, a small 10-cent piece, seemingly ordinary, a 2010 Liberty dime, minted in Denver, whose face value is just 10 cents. But what if I told you that certain unique versions of this coin, created by the most remarkable and rare minting errors, have a market value estimated at $664 million? Yes, you heard that correctly, $664 million. Today, we will explore every facet, every possibility, every story, and every anomaly that has made the 2010 dime such a fascinating treasure, from the common dime you carry in your pocket to the potentially life-changing anomalies that lurk in rolls, jars, and forgotten collections across the country. The story begins with the very nature of coin production. Every dime starts as a planchet, a small, blank, perfectly round disc of metal, ready to be struck into a finished coin. In 2010, the Denver Mint was operating at full capacity, producing millions of dimes every single day, ensuring that the American economy had sufficient change for vending machines, stores, banks, and cash registers. The vast majority of these coins were standard, perfectly struck, and went into circulation without incident. Yet, amidst this massive production, a small fraction of coins escaped with extraordinary and rare errors. And it is precisely these errors that have propelled certain 2010 dimes into the realm of nearly mythical value, where a 10-cent coin can become a multi-million-dollar, and even $100 million, treasure. The first major factor that can create incredible value is planchet anomalies. A planchet is generally uniform in weight, thickness, and metallic composition. However, sometimes a planchet is slightly off. It may be too thick or too thin, too light or too heavy. In rare cases, it could even be a planchet intended for a foreign coin, a trial planchet, or an experimental blank. A 2010 dime struck on an anomalous planchet can instantly become one of the rarest coins in the series. These planchets can produce unusual colorations, different luster, unique metallic sound when tapped, and slight differences in thickness or diameter. For collectors, These small differences are enough to ignite excitement and speculation, because each anomalous planchet may be a one-of-a-kind artifact, never to appear again. Next, we move to the dies, the engraved steel tools that strike the design into the planchet. The dies used in 2010 were subject to extreme pressure and rapid production schedules. Dies must endure thousands or even millions of strikes before being replaced, and during that time, wear, cracking, polishing errors, and subtle misalignments can occur. A die crack, for instance, occurs when stress causes a fracture in the die. The raised metal on the coin forms along these fractures, producing what collectors refer to as lightning strikes or cuds. A single die crack might not seem impressive, but on a 2010 D dime, a dramatic die crack extending across Roosevelt's face or the torch can be incredibly rare and valuable. Some rare examples combine die cracks with other anomalies like doubled dies, mint mark errors, or off-center strikes, creating coins that are truly one of a kind. Doubled dies are another key factor in the 2010 D dime's incredible value. A doubled die occurs when the die itself is struck multiple times by the hub during creation, slightly misaligned. This creates doubling of letters, numbers, or design elements on the coin itself. Imagine the word liberty appearing doubled, slightly offset, or ghosted behind itself. Imagine the date 2010 showing a faint second image, or in God we trust appearing thickened and slightly misaligned. These doubled dies are extremely rare, and when dramatic, are highly sought after by collectors. On a 2010 D dime, a doubled die of significant strength could transform a coin worth 10 cents into a collectible worth millions, especially when combined with other unusual errors. Mint mark errors also contribute greatly to a coin's rarity. The D mint mark on the Denver 2010 dime was applied mechanically, yet slight misalignments or repunchings occurred occasionally. Some mint marks appear slightly rotated, tilted, or faintly doubled. Others might show faint impressions behind the main mint mark, creating the appearance of a shadow or ghost image. These mint mark anomalies are subtle but powerful, and when present on a coin that also has a doubled die or planchet irregularity, they add tremendous value. Some collectors specialize exclusively in mint mark anomalies, knowing that these coins are extremely rare and almost impossible to reproduce. Off-center strikes are another phenomenon that can dramatically increase a coin's value. When a planchet is not perfectly aligned in the press, the resulting coin is struck off-center. On a dime, this can range from slight shifts of a few millimeters to extreme misalignments of over 50%. A 2010 D dime struck 40 to 50% off-center, but still retaining the full date and mint mark, is extraordinarily rare. The visual impact is immediate, part of the design appears missing, while other elements are stretched and displaced. The coin becomes instantly recognizable as a major error, highly sought after, and capable of commanding enormous sums in the collector market. Broad strikes are another category of rare errors that elevate the 2010 D dime. During striking, the coin collar ensures the proper diameter of the coin. If the collar fails, the planchet expands outward, creating a broader, flatter coin. The design stretches slightly, edges expand, and the coin appears unusual. Broad-struck coins with strong detail and intact luster are particularly rare, and when combined with other errors such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, or mint mark anomalies, they create a coin that is effectively impossible to replace. Striking pressure errors are also critical in evaluating extreme rarity. Coins struck under too little pressure may appear weak, with faint designs or missing details, especially on Roosevelt's face, hair, or the torch on the reverse. Coins struck with excessive pressure, conversely, may show swelling rims, exaggerated details, or unusual metal flow. In 2010, recalibration of presses produced brief windows where coins were struck at unusual pressures. These subtle anomalies, though sometimes nearly invisible to the casual observer, are highly prized by collectors when combined with other errors. Die clashes further increase rarity and value. A die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, transferring ghost-like impressions from one die to the other. On a 2010 D dime, these clashes may appear as faint outlines of Roosevelt on the reverse or reversed elements from the torch and branches on the obverse. Clash marks are uncommon in modern coins, and when combined with additional errors, they create one-of-a-kind coins highly prized by collectors. Grease-filled strikes and struck-through errors add yet another layer of rarity. Sometimes fibers, grease, or debris become trapped between the die and planchet during striking, leaving depressions, voids, or distortions in the coin's design. On a 2010D dime, these might remove or distort parts of the lettering, Liberty, or motto, producing an incredibly unusual coin. These anomalies are almost impossible to reproduce intentionally, making them highly valuable in the collector market. High-grade examples dramatically amplify value. Modern coins, even after a decade in circulation, often show scratches, wear, or diminished luster. A gem-quality 2010D dime, preserved in near-perfect condition, retains full luster, sharp edges, and precise detail. When such a coin exhibits one or more of the extreme anomalies we have discussed, doubled dies, off-center strikes, mint mark errors, broad strikes, or planchet anomalies, it becomes a coin of unparalleled rarity. Gem quality. Error-laden coins are extremely scarce and capable of commanding extraordinary sums. Emotional and historical context also plays a role in value. The 2010D dime represents a period in modern minting where mass production and mechanization were dominant, yet subtle human and mechanical anomalies could still occur. Collectors understand that these coins are unique windows into the minting process, capturing the convergence of human error, mechanical stress, and chance. A coin that embodies both perfection and imperfection becomes more than money, it becomes a story, a legend, and a piece of history. The human element heightens the drama. Imagine a 2010D dime sitting unnoticed in a wallet, pocket, or coin jar. Perhaps it passed through countless hands, used to buy groceries, coffee, or parking meters, its rarity entirely invisible. Suddenly, a collector recognizes its extraordinary attributes: doubled die, off-center strike, unusual planchet, mint mark anomaly. Authentication, grading, and eventual auction transform the coin into a prize potentially worth hundreds of millions.